Welcome, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a look at something that seems really basic on the surface, grammar, vocabulary. But we're going to unpack how it actually forms a kind of blueprint, a blueprint for being really precise when we talk about people. Ever feel like you're struggling to find the right words, maybe describing a colleague or defining a relationship? Well, this deep dive is for you. We're focusing on that core structure, the way we characterize people professionally or even, family.
That's absolutely right. It's about the architecture of description, isn't it? Not just learning lists of words. Our mission today is really to lay out a structured approach, something that gets you past vague descriptions. We want to show you how to be, really precise in how you communicate about people, social and professionally.
And the source material we've got, it lays it out quite logically. There are these three key parts. First, there's the grammar, the bit that establishes the connection, that's possessive adjectives.
The small words doing big work.
Then second, the actual words we use for character, the personality traits, and they're grouped in a useful way.
Positive and negative, yeah.
A fundamental split.
And third, the skill part, putting it all together, how you actually use those first two parts to build a really clear picture of someone.
And for you listening, the real benefit here is, I think, gaining control over your narrative. When you describe someone, you need to anchor it, right? Who are they talking about? What's the connection? This structure helps make sure that when you talk about, say, her patience or his creativity or maybe their performance, it's accurate, it's complete, and it's framed just right.
Okay, so let's start right there with those tiny words that actually carry so much weight, right? Section 1, the grammar foundation.
Yeah.
Possessive adjectives, words like my, your, his. They seem so small, maybe easy to overlook, but they're absolutely critical. The structural linchpin really for any kind of personal description. We might think of them as small words, but they're powerful tools for setting the scene. They really are. They establish ownership, sure, but more importantly for us today, they define the relationship before you even start describing the person's character.
Exactly. It's like setting the stage.
We should probably stop seeing them as just, dry grammar points. They're more like relationship anchors. That's a good way to put it. Before you say someone is, honest or lazy, which is subjective, right? You need to place them first. Where do they fit in relation to you or to the situation you're discussing?
It immediately focuses the listener. They know who we're talking about and how they connect.
And the source material gives us that core list, the essential 7.
Okay, let's list them out. We've got my, your, his, her, its, our, their.
Simple words?
Very simple. And we don't need to get bogged down in like first person, second person grammar rules in a textbook way.
Yeah.
But we absolutely need to grasp the function, right? What these words do in terms of defining that connection, that proximity or distance.
Yeah, the function is fascinating. It's almost like a spoken social cue. If I say my, it's instant closeness, first person. It tells the listener, okay, I'm directly involved here. This affects me.
Right. And your, that pulls the listener right in, makes it relevant to them.
Exactly. But the real strategic play often comes with the third person ones. His, her, its, our, their.
Okay, let's unpack that. If I say, my colleague is hardworking, that's my direct observation, my relationship.
You own that statement.
But if I say their colleagues are finding the project difficult, see, I've created a bit of distance there. It frames the issue within that group, maybe more objectively, even if I'm technically part of that larger context.
And R does the opposite, doesn't it? It signals shared ownership, brings the listener into the circle. This is our challenge.
Well, there clearly marks separation. That's their responsibility.
And that placement rule, it's crucial. It's not flexible. Possessive adjectives, they always have to come right before the noun they're modifying.
Always.
You can't really describe the quality of something or someone effectively if you haven't first said whose it is or who it relates to. The structure is fixed, adjective, then noun. My book, your idea, his report.
Let's dig into why that structure is so foundational, why it matters for the description that comes next. If you leave out the possessive adjective, the connection is just floating, isn't it? It's ambiguous. If I just say, ideas are creative, well, whose ideas? Is that a general statement about creativity itself?
Exactly. It's abstract.
But look at the example from the source. I like her ideas. Bam! That little word her, it instantly links the creative output, the noun ideas, to a specific person, a female person who had them.
It defines the source, the ownership of that intellectual property. Instantly.
And it works just the same for things, not just people. The example, the dog is eating its food.
Right. It clearly connects the food back to the dog, defines ownership for something that can't claim it itself.
Simple but precise.
And in that shared context, like an office, this is our office. Again, instant clarity, shared space, shared relationship. These little words, they're doing the heavy lifting of defining boundaries and connections.
Okay, this brings up a really important point, a distinction the source mentions briefly. We need to be crystal clear about the difference between these possessive adjectives, my, your, their, and possessive pronouns, like mine, yours, theirs. Why is that difference so important for what we're trying to do here, building detailed descriptions?
Ah, yes. This is critical if you want to be precise. Possessive pronouns like mine or yours, they actually replace the noun. They stand alone. You'd say, that desk is mine, full stop.
Okay.
They're fine for just stating ownership, but they don't help you describe the noun itself because the noun isn't there anymore.
Right, it's implied.
Exactly. But possessive adjectives, my, your, his, her, its, our, they require a noun right after them. Their whole job is to modify that noun, to define its relationship. And since our goal here is to describe the characteristics of a person, a noun, or their work, another noun, well, the adjective form is the tool we absolutely need. It keeps the thing we're describing right there in the sentence.
Got it. So the adjective locks in the relationship to the noun. That's the framework. And once we've anchored the listener, okay, we're talking about his project or her approach, the next logical step. The very human step is to evaluate it, right? To describe its quality.
Precisely. Which leads us directly into the vocabulary of character, the traits themselves. Okay, for the words that add the color to the substance to the profile, we need to define what we mean by a personality trait. It's essentially an adjective, a word we use to describe someone's usual character. It's about their typical behavior, how they generally act, not just a one-off thing. It reflects a pattern.
A pattern, right? Their behavioral average, you could say.
That's a good way to put it.
And the source material does something really useful right away. It splits these traits into two big buckets, positive and negative. Why is that initial binary split good-bad essentially so fundamental when we're describing people?
Well, it's incredibly efficient social shorthand, isn't it? When we talk about people, especially in situations where judgment matters, like a job reference or a team assessment, or even just deciding who to work with, we're often making or communicating a value judgment. Is this person helpful in this situation, or are they challenging?
An asset or a liability, basically.
Pretty much. So dividing traits immediately into the good stuff, the positive aspirational qualities, and the difficult stuff, the negative challenging ones, it gives us really clear, immediate language for making that assessment. It answers that unspoken question right away.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's dive into the specifics from the source material. Starting with those positive traits, the aspirational ones, the qualities that generally lead to good working relationships and, well, smoother interactions. And we really need to connect the trait word itself to the specific behavior the source uses to define it.
Absolutely. Let's go through them and think about their value, particularly in a professional setting maybe. First up, friendly.
Okay, seems simple.
It's more than just not being unfriendly, though. The source links it to active sociability. The behavior is, she always smiles and talks to everyone. In an office, that's gold, isn't it? It means approachability, easier collaboration, less friction in the team.
Definitely. Okay, next, honest.
Foundational, integrity, reliability. The behavior is simple but huge. He always tells the truth. Professionally, that means you can trust their input, their data. His report is reliable because he is honest.
Yeah.
It builds trust.
Makes sense. Then, hardworking.
This implies dedication, maybe going the extra mile. The example given is someone who works late almost every day, suggests real commitment, persistence.
Yeah, that signals effort, stamina. Important in many jobs.
It does. Although, sometimes you have to ask, is it hardworking or just poor time management?
True. There's nuance there.
But based on the source's simple definition, it's presented as positive dedication here.
Okay. Next, creative.
Innovation. Thinking differently. The definition is key. Thinks differently from others. This isn't just for artists. It's about finding new solutions, maybe seeing a problem from a different angle, optimizing things.
Thinking outside the usual box. Very valuable.
Then patient.
Ooh, a tough one sometimes.
Definitely. It implies tolerance, steadiness, keeping cool under pressure, or slowness. The source notes it's vital for teachers. That suggests handling repetition, delays, frustration without losing it.
Which is crucial for good leadership too, right? Mentoring long-term projects.
Absolutely. Next, supportive.
This feels very team-oriented.
Yes. Empathy, active help. The behavior is, he helps me when I have problems. That's the engine of a great team, isn't it? Someone who steps up, offers help, focuses on collective success. not just their own tasks.
Yeah, really important. And the last positive one on the list, polite.
Good manners, respect. The behavior is concrete. She always says please and thank you. Seems small, maybe. But politeness is like social WD-40. It reduces friction, avoids awkwardness, shows respect for others, for hierarchy. It matters.
Okay, that's a solid set of positive benchmarks. Really paints a picture of an ideal colleague or contributor. But life isn't always like that, is it? We need words for the other side, too. So let's flip it. Let's look at the negative traits, the challenging qualities, the ones that often lead to, well, difficult conversations.
Right. And you can almost think of these as the absence of the positive trait or a failure to meet that standard. When you use one of these negative words, you're usually signaling that something's gone wrong, that a certain expectation hasn't been met. Let's look at the counter behaviors the source gives us. First, lazy.
The direct opposite of hardworking.
Exactly. Defined simply as he doesn't want to work. Professionally, that's a major problem. It's a drag on resources. It means others might have to pick up the slack. Bad for morale, bad for productivity.
Yep. Okay, then rude.
The absence of politeness, lack of respect. The behavior example is stark. He didn't say hello or thank you. Seems minor. But consistent rudeness creates friction, damages relationships, can even lose clients.
True. Next one. Selfish.
Lack of consideration for others, no shared purpose. The behavior is all inward. Only thinks about himself, doesn't share. In any collaborative setting, that's toxic. It kills teamwork, undermines shared goals.
Definitely. Okay, careless.
This one's about mistakes, lack of attention to detail. The consequence is right there. She often makes mistakes. Carelessness is a trust killer. If you can't rely on someone's work to be accurate, it creates extra work for everyone else, costs time and money. Critical in some fields.
Absolutely. Then, impatient.
The opposite of patient, obviously. Lack of tolerance for delays, for process. He doesn't like waiting. This can lead to rushing things, cutting corners, making bad decisions because you didn't wait for all the information.
Yeah, I can see that. Next, bossy.
Ooh, this one's interesting. It implies wanting to control things, often without the actual authority. Telling people what to do constantly. The definition stresses the frequency. She tells everyone what to do all the time.
Right. Not just giving instructions when it's their job.
Exactly. It stifles other people's ideas, creates resentment.
Okay. And the last negative one, dishonest.
The absence of integrity, the opposite of honest. The example is blunt. He lied about his work. Professionally, this is often the ultimate line. Lying, especially about work, destroys trust completely, can easily lead to being fired.
Okay, I want to pause here for a sec, because the source presents this clear positive-negative split. But like you hinted with hardworking, sometimes context matters, right?
Yeah.
Take bossy. Is it always negative?
That's a really important critical thinking point. And yeah, you're right. In general conversation, if you call someone bossy, it carries that negative meaning, overstepping, controlling without the right.
Right.
But imagine a genuine crisis, an emergency situation. Someone needs to take charge, give clear, fast directions.
Okay.
In that specific context, the same behavior telling everyone what to do might be seen differently. I might call it decisive or taking initiative.
So context and authority are key.
They really are. But the source's point, I think, is that when bossy is used as a general personality trait, it implies that negative out-of-bounds control.
Got it. And that contrast idea is really powerful. The source uses these side-by-side examples deliberately, doesn't it, to make the differences sharp. Like, my colleague is hardworking, but his brother is lazy. That sets up a really clear comparison based purely on effort.
Exactly. It draws the line clearly. Yeah. Or the patient teacher versus the impatient students. The teacher needs patience for the job. The student's impatience might be understandable, but it's still disruptive to the goal. It highlights the role expectation.
And my friend is polite, but her sister is rude. Again, clear behavioral contrast within a close relationship. It defines acceptable social norms by showing the opposite.
And the ultimate test, really, to see if you've grasped these terms, is whether you can work backwards. Can you link the behavior back to the trait? The source gives us practice with this.
Right. If someone is observed helping and listening carefully when I have problems, what traits does that show?
Clearly supportive. Probably friendly, too. The trait isn't just a label, it's a summary of those actions.
And conversely, if someone only thinks about herself and doesn't share...
Textbook selfish. No ambiguity there.
So the key is grounding the trait in observable actions.
Absolutely. When you use these words, especially professionally, you're ideally summarizing a pattern you've seen. That makes your description much stronger, much more defensible than just saying, I don't like them.
Okay. That detailed understanding of the traits, both positive and negative, and how they link to behavior. That sets us up perfectly for the final piece, putting it all together.
All right, so we've got the two main ingredients. We've got the relationship anchors those possessive adjectives, and we've got the character vocabulary, the positive and negative traits linked to behavior. Now, the final step, the payoff, the actual skill of description. This is where we combine the grammar framework with the character words to build a really clear, comprehensive profile in just a sentence or two.
Exactly. It's about moving from something vague, like, oh, he's a nice guy, to something much more specific and informative. Something like, this is my manager, he's very supportive, his feedback always helps me improve. See the difference?
Huge difference, much more concrete.
And the goal here is efficiency, especially in professional settings. You want to convey the key information quickly and clearly. We're really aiming for a kind of formula, aren't we? A sequence. Possessive adjective plus the noun, the person or their work, plus the trait, plus then, crucially, a result or example. Possessive adjective plus noun plus trait plus result example. Okay. Let's break that down using the professional examples from the source. This is where that precision really counts, like in performance reviews or team descriptions. Take the first example they give, describing a manager.
Okay, if the source says, this is my manager. She is very hardworking. Her ideas are always creative. Let's trace the formula. My manager, possessive adjective plus noun, establishes the relationship.
Got it.
She is very hardworking. That's the trait describing the person. Defines her work ethic.
Okay.
Then, her ideas are always creative. This is the brilliant part. Another possessive adjective, her, linking to a specific noun, ideas her output, followed by another trait, creative, describing that output. It connects her internal quality, hardworking, directly to a valuable professional result, creative ideas.
That's really neat. It shows how the trait translates into tangible results. Okay, let's look at the second one, the team leader.
This is my team leader. His instructions are clear. He is supportive and polite.
Okay, following the pattern, my team leader. Relationship set.
Then, his instructions are clear. Here, the possessive 𝗀𝗃 modifies the output instructions, and clear is the quality of that output.
Right, it's describing the result of his communication.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then it adds the broader trait. He is supportive and polite. This suggests why his instructions might be clear, because he's considerate, respects the team's need for clarity. His interpersonal skills enhance his professional output.
That makes sense. The traits explain the quality of the output.
And it works for groups too, right?
Yep.
The source shows this scales up. We're talking about new colleagues. They're new colleagues. Plural possessive adjective defining the group noun.
Okay.
They are friendly and patient. Traits describing the group's general approach.
So you immediately know what to expect when interacting with them. Friendly, patient interaction.
Precisely. The framework holds. Define the relationship. Possessive, state the trait.
Okay, let's go even deeper with those specific workplace profiles the source provides, because they really hammer home the connection to concrete results. Let's take Anna, the coworker. She's described as friendly and hardworking. What's the stated outcome? Her reports are always perfect.
Yes. That connection is vital. The traits aren't just floating there. Friendly might imply she collaborates well to get information, communicates clearly. Hardworking implies effort, attention to detail, thoroughness.
And the result of those traits?
A specific, measurable, positive outcome linked directly to her via the possessive. Her reports are perfect. Imagine writing a reference letter. That's exactly the kind of powerful, evidence-based description you want. Trait leads to result.
Absolutely. Okay, now Mr. Ali, the boss, he's described as polite and supportive. And the result, his meetings are short and effective.
This is fascinating. It connects politeness and support directly to efficiency. It suggests that because he's polite, respectful of others, and supportive, wants them to succeed, he doesn't waste their time.
Right. He respects their bandwidth, so he keeps meetings focused.
Exactly. His positive interpersonal traits directly translate into effective, efficient management practices. His meetings benefit from his character.
That's a great insight. Okay, one more professional example. The assistants. They are described as creative and honest. The result, their work helps the whole company.
Again, see the link. Honest means their foundational work, their data, their input is reliable, trustworthy. Creative means the solutions or ideas they build on that foundation are innovative, valuable, maybe find new efficiencies.
So the combination of integrity, honest, and innovation, creative in their work,
leads to a broad, positive impact across the whole organization. It demonstrates their value clearly. The formula consistently links traits to results via that possessive anchor.
It's such a clear and effective structure, and what's really useful is seeing how easily it adapts. It works just as well for describing people in our personal lives, right? Friends, family. The structure doesn't need to change at all.
Not at all. The grammar, the logic, it's identical. You just swap out the noun and the relationship label. Let's look at those personal examples.
Okay, first, the friend, described as patient.
And the result linked to her. Her advice is always helpful.
Makes perfect sense. Patience means she probably listens carefully, thinks before speaking.
Which naturally leads to the quality of her advice being helpful. Trait enables the positive outcome.
Then the father, hardworking.
The link made here is to his routine. His day starts very early.
So the trait hardworking is demonstrated through or defined by this specific daily habit associated with him. His day reflects his nature.
Exactly. And the sister, creative.
The outcome, her drawings are beautiful.
Again, direct link. The trait creative explains the quality of her specific output, drawings. Her drawings are a product of her creativity.
What really strikes me across all these examples, professional and personal, is the sheer efficiency. That structure, possessive adjective plus noun plus trait plus result example, it packs so much information into just a couple of sentences.
It really does.
It moves you way beyond vague compliments or complaints. It forces you to connect the person's quality to something concrete, something observable or resulting from their nature.
And that's incredibly powerful. Think about job interviews, talking about previous managers, or giving feedback, or even just explaining your relationships to someone new. Being able to clearly articulate my supportive mentor whose advice was crucial, or their careless approach which caused delays. It shows you're not just stating opinions. You're analytical. You can connect character to consequence. That signals a high level of communicative competence.
A really valuable skill. Okay, that brings us towards the end of this deep dive. #tag outro. We have certainly covered a lot today, haven't we? From tiny grammatical words to big pictures of personality. Let's just quickly recap the three main things we've unpacked.
Okay, first we started with the absolute foundation. Those possessive adjectives. My, your, his, her, it's, our, their. We saw them not just as grammar, but as strategic relationship anchors that have to come before the noun to set the stage.
Right. Then second, we explored that lexicon of personality traits. Both positive ones, like friendly, honest, patient, and the negative ones, like lazy, rude, careless. And crucially, we saw how these are defined by specific, observable behaviors.
And finally, the synthesis. We learned how to put those two pieces together. Using that structure, possessive adjective plus noun plus trait plus result example to build clear, concise, and really comprehensive descriptions of people.
It's a structure designed for clarity, for impact. So now it's over to you, the listener. Time for application. Here's your challenge, your homework if you like. Try to consciously use this language today. Pick 3 people in your life, maybe a colleague, a friend, someone in your family, and describe each of them using that exact 3-part structure.
Yeah, really practice it. Start with the relationship. This is my neighbor. State the trait. He is very supportive. Then give the concrete example using the possessive again. His help with my garden was amazing. Nail down that sequence until it feels natural. Anchor, trait, example.
Anchor, trait, example. Got it. And finally, as always, something to mull over. A final provocative thought stemming from that positive and negative duality in the source material. We talked a lot about describing positive traits and their results, but think about the strategic power of the negative description in professional life. How often is the most effective way to address a problem not by praising someone else, but by clearly identifying the lack of a necessary positive trait?
Good question.
For instance, framing an issue as being caused by someone's carelessness. And think about how using the possessive adjective there, pinpointing his carelessness or her impatience, how that immediately focuses the conversation. It targets the specific behavior in the specific person that needs to change. How powerful is that targeted negative description?
Language is definitely power. And precision in language is critical. Food for thought indeed. Well, until our next deep dive, keep exploring those details.